So there I was, minding my own business in New Jersey. Is anyone here from New Jersey? Do New Jersey people come here? Yeah! I'm just curious. I didn't know it was just a Philly-only thing. One thing about New Jersey, for those of you who are not Jersey residents, is that you cannot pump your own gas in New Jersey. Have you guys heard this? And this is why there are bumper stickers that say, Jersey girls don't pump gas. Because they're not permitted. In fact, no one is. You show up at the pump, and you kind of have to stick your credit card out the window, and the guy kind of picks it up and goes and puts gas in your car. And really, at the end of the day, you don't care that much because it's not really all that emasculating because you didn't want to really pump your own gas anyway. So, I was coming home from class at Camden County College in Blackwood, and I looked at my gas tank. I needed to stop for gas. I pulled over, and it had not been a very good day at class in particular. I had felt stupid on a number of different occasions and was not exactly in my happy zen place. And when I showed up, the person came and took my credit card, and I handed it out the window, and I was kind of in my own little zone, and he went and started pumping gas, and after a little bit of time, I started hearing water. And I looked and found that the gas nozzle was in my car, but it was just pouring out on the sidewalk right there and there. And the guy realized this, and he ran over really apologetically, and he was kind of like, oh, I'm so sorry, here, let me fix this. And I, being in a really patient mood, as you can imagine at that point, said, no, just let it be. Which at one level is a really nice surfacey thing that doesn't really mean anything that bad. But underneath what it really said is, you imbecile, you're a very poor gas attendant, and I really don't like you. And I drove home, and I had that feeling in my stomach, you know, that very healthy feeling of guilt when you know you hurt a person, and you know that it wasn't the right thing to do. And I got home, and I really felt awful, and I really am thankful that that exists in me. The next week after class, I went back to the same gas station, and I showed up, and the same guy was there, and I thought to myself, oh, please don't recognize me. And he showed up, put the gas nozzle in my car and started pumping my gas. And I got out of my car and I said, so how's it going? And he said, fine. And I said, has your day been busy? No, not very busy. And you can see in his mind, he's used to being treated like a machine. And I said, so how long have you been working here? And you could see him pause. About 3 months, he said. Oh, really? How did you get started? Well, he said, I was in Afghanistan. I was from Afghanistan, and I came over here. And he proceeded to tell me a story about the chaos that he was living through in Afghanistan. Because it was kind of a chaotic place. It probably still is a pretty chaotic place. And he told me this really complicated story that I didn't really understand about how he got to the United States and got in maybe sort of legally. And he came to the States and was trying with his family to find a place to be able to find a job so he could pay for things. And the only job he could get with his English not being superb and the fact that he really didn't have exactly real citizenship was a job pumping gas for people in New Jersey. And about that time, in the fuel booth where, you know, they have the credit card machine and everything, a head pops up. And this head belongs to his son, and the son says, hey, Daddy! And he goes, hey, I'd like to introduce my son. His name is Shaheen. And Shaheen comes out of there, this little second grader comes out of there, and he says, I'm good at math! So of course he is. And he comes and he brings his worksheet to me. Right at this little moment, he brings his worksheet to me. And he says, this one was tricky, and he points at 6 plus 6. Which is a tricky one. It's greater than 10. And about that time, I start hearing liquid again because the gas tank once again overflowed. And he said, I'm so sorry, I am so sorry. And he went and dug through the trash can and found an empty pop bottle and went and filled it up with the windshield wiper fluid and washed off my car by hand with windshield wiper fluid from this trash pop bottle. I was rather touched. And I said, what is your name? He said his name was Abdul. And after that, every week I would stop by to get gas at exactly that place. I'd make sure, even if I didn't need gas, I would go and get gas. Just so I could talk to Abdul and see Shaheen most of the time, and hear how school was and what life was like in the United States, and hear his stories, which were just absolutely absurd. And it made me think that the more you understand that every person is human, the more you begin to understand that everybody